Something astonishing has recently come to light: an extraordinary letter penned by the Roman Aurelius Lentulus, which offers a detailed and personal account of Jesus Christ. Aurelius Lentulus, a notable figure in the Roman Empire, was not only a contemporary of Jesus but also an eyewitness who knew him intimately. As part of his official duties, Lentulus frequently corresponded with Caesar in Rome, providing reports on various matters. This particular letter stands out for its vivid and insightful portrayal of Jesus, revealing aspects of his life and character that have not been widely known until now. In this video, we will delve into the fascinating details of Lentulus's description of Jesus Christ, exploring the historical context and implications of his observations. Prepare to uncover unique perspectives that could reshape your understanding of Jesus, his impact, and presence in the Roman world. Trust me, you won't want to miss the intriguing revelations we have in store at the end of this video. Before we embark on this historical journey, take a moment to subscribe to our channel. By joining us now, you'll be part of our mission to become the largest channel dedicated to exploring spiritual and historical insights across the globe. Many artworks and paintings depict Jesus as a white man, a representation that has become so widespread that it is often regarded as the definitive image of Christ. Yet this iconic portrayal is surprisingly modern. The most famous depiction, Solomon's head of Christ, painted in 1940, is a product of the 20th century. Solomon, who was a former commercial artist with a background in advertising art, crafted this image that quickly gained international acclaim. His painting's success was bolstered by extensive promotion through partnerships with two major Christian publishing houses, one Protestant and one Catholic. As a result, Solomon's head of Christ appeared on a diverse range of items, from prayer cards and stained glass windows to oil paintings, calendars, and even nightlights. This widespread dissemination underscores a long-standing tradition of presenting Jesus in ways that reflect predominantly white European ideals. This portrayal raises intriguing questions about the intersection of religion, art, and cultural identity. The historical Jesus, who lived in 1st century Galilee, a region in biblical Israel, would have likely had the physical characteristics typical of Jewish people from that area, including brown eyes and skin. However, due to the lack of definitive visual representations from his lifetime, the image of Jesus has been shaped by cultural and artistic conventions rather than historical accuracy. The scarcity of details about Jesus' physical appearance in the Old and New Testaments adds to the mystery. The Old Testament, for example, describes King Saul and David as tall and handsome but provides no such specifics about Jesus. In the New Testament, descriptions of Jesus' appearance are somewhat contradictory. The prophet Isaiah prophesies that the coming Savior would possess no beauty or majesty, implying a lack of physical allure, while the Psalms describe him as fairer than the children of men, suggesting physical beauty. The historical artifact known as the letter attributed to the Roman official Aurelius Lentulus is often cited as providing a detailed description of Jesus Christ. However, the authenticity and accuracy of this letter are debated among scholars. Additionally, numerous historical accounts and letters from eyewitnesses offer varying perspectives on Jesus. For instance, Pontius Pilate, the governor of the Holy Land during Jesus' ministry, corresponded regularly with Rome and reported to Caesar, placing him in a position to observe Jesus and his followers. There is also a letter from the high priest Gallio, who, after the resurrection, came to believe in Jesus and wrote a description of him. This letter is preserved in the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. The most detailed physical description of Jesus comes from a letter attributed to the Roman consul Lentulus, which was discovered in a monastery along with other ancient documents. This letter is said to date back to the 12th year of Emperor Tiberius's reign. Historical records confirm the presence of a Roman consul named Lentulus in Judea during Jesus' trial and crucifixion. Lentulus's influential family is mentioned by the Jewish historian Josephus in his work Antiquities of the Jews. Despite this historical context, the authenticity of the letter itself remains a subject of scholarly debate. According to the letter, Lentulus describes Jesus with vivid and distinctive physical traits. Jesus is portrayed as having a noble and lively face with fair and slightly wavy hair. His eyebrows are described as black and strongly curved, while his eyes are intense and penetrating, a striking blue. The letter also notes that Jesus' nose is rather long, and his beard, though almost blonde and not very long, is contrasted with his notably long hair, which has never been cut. His neck is slightly inclined, giving him a humble demeanor, and his tanned face, compared to ripe corn, is said to exude gravity, wisdom, sweetness, and goodness without any hint of anger. Lentulus's account provides a detailed depiction of Jesus's appearance and character. He describes Jesus as a man of middling height with a comely appearance, whose reverent countenance inspires both love and fear. Jesus's hair is said to resemble the hue of an unripe hazelnut, smooth near the ears but curling into darker, shinier locks that wave over his shoulders. He wears his hair parted in the middle, according to the Nazarene fashion. Lentulus notes a smooth and calm brow, a face without wrinkles or blemishes, and a moderate color that enhances his beauty. His nose and mouth are described as faultless, and his beard is full and pointed at the chin, matching the color of his hair. Jesus's demeanor is characterized by a mix of gravity and kindness. He is terrible in rebuke, yet kind and lovable in admonition. The description also mentions that he sometimes weeps but has never laughed. His stature is described as tall and straight, with fair hands and arms. His conversation is grave, reserved, and modest, earning him the epithet fairer than the children of men from the prophet. The letter's detailed description aligns closely with many traditional portrayals of Jesus, raising questions about the accuracy of such depictions. While Lentulus's account offers a richly detailed image, it is essential to consider that it may have been influenced by prevailing artistic conventions or the desire to reinforce certain theological or cultural ideals. The portrayal of Jesus as possessing a fair and somewhat European appearance reflects the artistic and cultural standards of later periods rather than the historical realities of first-century Judea. This description underscores the tension between historical accuracy and artistic representation. The portrayal of Jesus in various forms throughout history often reflects the cultural and theological concerns of the artists and their audiences. The extensive dissemination of such images, from paintings to popular media, has cemented a particular view of Jesus that may not align with historical facts but resonates with cultural and religious identities. In addition to the detailed descriptions of Jesus provided by historical sources like the letter from Lentulus, ancient Greeks also had elaborate portrayals of religious and historical figures, including the apostles and the Virgin Mary, much like their depictions of heroes from Troy. These accounts help shape our understanding of historical and religious figures, but they also highlight the complexities involved in reconstructing their appearances. One notable example of modern attempts to flesh out the physical appearance of Jesus is the analysis of the Shroud of Turin. Professor Giovanni Giudica Cordiglia, a prominent scholar of the Shroud, has applied his expertise in forensic medicine to interpret the data from this controversial artifact. The shroud, believed by some to be the burial cloth of Jesus, has been subjected to extensive analysis, though its authenticity remains debated. According to Cordiglia's research, the man depicted in the shroud was of striking beauty and uncommon stature, standing approximately 1.80 meters tall. His physique was described as lean and harmonious, suggesting a well-proportioned individual. Despite the damage to the shroud, it reveals a face characterized by softness and gentleness. The features include a broad, straight forehead, a straight nose with a slight downward curve, and prominent, slightly protruding cheeks. Cordiglia's analysis also includes anthropometric calculations that paint a picture of Jesus as physically superior to the average man. The cranial capacity of the man in the shroud was estimated to be 1,575 cubic centimeters, placing him in the meagle category. This calculation implies a brain weight of 1,492 grams, significantly above average. Such data suggests that the individual was not only physically impressive but potentially of extraordinary intellectual capability. The Church Fathers of the 2nd century, Justin Martyr and Origen, drew from biblical texts to offer differing perspectives on Jesus' appearance. While Isaiah 53 suggests an unremarkable appearance, Psalm 45 implies notable beauty. This discrepancy might indicate that people perceived Jesus differently based on their spiritual connection to him. St. Augustine proposed that individuals have their own unique mental image of Jesus. He emphasized that while there might be countless interpretations of his physical appearance, the essential aspect of faith is not the specific image but the belief in him as a man. The 4th century Bishop Cyril of Jerusalem echoed this idea, suggesting that Jesus adapts his form to suit the needs of each individual. He becomes a vine for those seeking joy, a door for those wishing to enter, a high priest for those offering prayers, and a sacrificial lamb for those in sin. This adaptability reflects Jesus' compassion and his ability to connect with people on a personal level. In early Christian art, Jesus was often depicted as a youthful figure reminiscent of the Greco-Roman god Apollo, characterized by his idealized athletic form and youthful appearance. This portrayal was consistent with the classical tradition of representing divine figures as perpetually youthful and vigorous. However, a notable shift occurred after the Roman Emperor Constantine's Edict of Milan in 313 AD, which officially recognized Christianity and granted it protection. This pivotal moment marked a significant transformation in the artistic representation of Jesus. Following Constantine's edict, Christian art began to evolve in response to the growing establishment and institutionalization of the Church. One of the most pronounced changes was the transition from depicting Jesus as a youthful figure to representing him as a mature, bearded man. This new portrayal was, in part, a reflection of Christ's role as the suffering and wise Redeemer, embodying both the gravity of his sacrifice and his role as the eternal teacher. The concept of a chiropoieta, or not made by human hands, played a crucial role in shaping these evolving representations of Christ. By the 7th century AD, stories emerged about miraculous images of Jesus that were believed to be self-portraits made without human intervention. One prominent example is the Mandylion, an image said to have been imprinted miraculously on a cloth by Christ to heal King Abgar of Edessa, located in modern-day Turkey. This image, revered as a genuine likeness of Christ, greatly influenced the way he was depicted in Christian art. Another significant legend, embraced by Western Christianity between the 11th and 14th centuries, involves Street Veronica, who is said to have captured an impression of Christ's face on her veil during his crucifixion. This relic, known as the Volto Santo, or Holy Face, further cemented the bearded, mature visage of Christ in Christian iconography. The impact of these acheiropoieta and similar relics on Christian art cannot be overstated. They provided a model for the image of Christ that was adopted across the Christian world, contributing to the standardization of his portrayal as a bearded figure with shoulder-length hair. This representation became deeply ingrained in the artistic tradition, shaping how Jesus was depicted in various media and contexts. During the Renaissance, European artists began to integrate their own likenesses into their portrayals of Christ, blending personal and artistic identity with religious imagery. This phenomenon is exemplified by the 15th-century Sicilian painter Antonello da Messina. His small, intimate portraits of the suffering Christ, presented against simple black backgrounds and framed by a parapet, mirror the conventional image of Christ but also reflect a personal, empathetic engagement with his human suffering. Each portrait was signed Antonello da Messina, highlighting the artist's personal connection to the divine figure. Similarly, the renowned 16th-century German artist Albrecht Dürer infused his own image into his depictions of Christ. In his famous self-portrait from 1500, Dürer portrays himself with a Christ-like demeanor, complete with a beard and shoulder-length hair. This portrayal evokes the holy visage while simultaneously presenting Dürer's own image, blurring the line between the divine and the artist. The monogram in the portrait is ambiguous, potentially representing either the artist's name or Anno Domini, the year of our Lord, further intertwining the sacred and the personal. The blending of religious and personal imagery in art was not limited to Europe, it also extended to other regions and periods. For instance, 16th and 17th century depictions of Jesus sometimes featured figures from diverse ethnic backgrounds, such as Ethiopians and Indians. This cross-cultural exchange reflects a broader trend of integrating local and global influences into religious art. In Europe, however, the image of a light-skinned European Christ began to gain prominence and spread globally through trade and colonization. This European portrayal of Jesus, characterized by light skin and blue eyes, became the dominant image due to its widespread dissemination via European imperial expansion. An illustrative example is found in Andrea Mantegna's Adoration of the Magi, 1505, where the Magi are depicted as representatives of Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. They offer exotic gifts such as porcelain, gold, and brass items imported from China and the Persian and Ottoman empires. Despite this global context, Jesus is shown with distinctly European features, highlighting a disjunction between the portrayal of Christ and his Middle Eastern origins. The inclusion of faux Hebrew script on Mary's cuffs and hemline further complicates the depiction, as it introduces an anachronistic and culturally inappropriate element to the artwork's representation of Jewish traditions. This tendency to impose European features on Jesus and other biblical figures has significant implications for our understanding of religious and artistic traditions. The European image of Jesus not only reflects the cultural biases of the time but also influenced how Christianity was perceived and practiced in different parts of the world.